Hey, what's going on, y'all? So over the weekend, I went to check out Steven Spielberg's highly anticipated movie called Disclosure Day, starring Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to telling you guys a bit more about it. With that being said, this is El Camino, and welcome to my Flick Report. So Emily Blunt plays this meteorologist by the name of Margaret Fairchild. On her way to work, it seems to be just like any other day, but unbeknownst to her, you know, she ends up, for all intents and purposes, speaking in tongues, I don't even know how else to put it. Not in like, the spiritual or biblical sense, but it may as well have been, homegirl started speaking in tongues and she didn't even know that she was speaking in tongues. She's doing it on her way to work. She's doing it at work. And when she gets on, when she goes on air to give the weather, she starts clicking and clacking and just falls out. That is not a spoiler because you guys have already seen it in the trailer. So apparently, some sort of switch has been turned off in her brain, which was put there by, extraterrestrials. And for all intents and purposes, man, she is becoming a conduit for the aliens to speak to humanity. Now, Josh O'Connor plays Daniel Kellner. He works for the government in their in their cybersecurity division. Basically to make sure everything's intact when it comes to holding on to the government secrets. Once he finds out what's really going on with the government through an undercover portion of the place that he works for that's looking to get this information out, he too ends up becoming quote unquote activated by the aliens by being able to understand the universal language, which I guess in this case is mathematics. And both Josh and Margaret's character end up crossing paths, and yeah, man, the story pretty much picks up from there. So for those that aren't aware of the premise of this movie, given what the title is, Disclosure Day is pretty much you know, a what if situation if the public was made aware of extraterrestrial life being real and whether they're still with us. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. In this movie, I mean, it took too long to get to the point of the movie. This movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I got to be honest with you. Um, the build up was not worth it. Like, yes, there was there was great dialogue. I mean, the actors did their thing. I have no complaints when it comes to that. It's just the lead up to the main part and stuff. And the main part only lasted about 5 or 6 minutes, if that. And then the way that it ended, it left you questioning, and I guess that was Steven Spielberg's motive, but yeah, man, it just didn't land well for me, and I'm sad to say this because I truly am a Steven Spielberg fan. I can honestly say Steven Spielberg is the director that planted the seed in me that has caused me to watch movies and love movies the way that I do. The first movie I've ever seen in theaters was E.T. Okay, I couldn't have been any more than 6 years old when when my titieri took me and my little brother to see that movie. And yeah, man, I've been in love with movies ever since then. And I watched Steven Spielberg's interviews based, discussing how this movie is more or less his summation on whether or not, extraterrestrial life exists and stuff. But yeah, man, for me, this movie would have done better as a mini series because the way that it ended, it just left you questioning. And again, that may have been his point, but I really would have liked to have seen the aftermath once, everything, everything was shared. At least for me, this movie fell flat. I'm sorry to say, for me, this movie fell flat. With that being said, El Camino rates this movie Disclosure Day. Yeah, man, I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm really not, man, because I love Steven Spielberg, yo. I want to rate it at them Blicket because, for some people it will be an acquired taste. But for me, because it took so long to get to the point and like the part of the movie that everybody's been waiting for lasted less than 5 minutes, I'm going to say borderline basura, yo, because it just took too long to get to the point, man. That's it. That's it. Like, if 70%, if 60% of the grade was like, how um the revealing of extraterrestrials was gonna be handled, yo. Yeah, man, you failed on that part. That's all I have to say about that. All right, man. That's it. That's my review. You all have a great night and God bless. Peace.